What's up, Southeast Michigan podcast? We are back and doing it. Last week, wanted to do another episode at least, but like I always say, life just gets in the way. But we are here. It is July 29th as of this recording, and we are just over a month away from Michigan football kickoff. And of course, this is another addition to the series that we are doing, previewing all the Big Ten football teams. So far, we have done nearly half, and we are going to pick right up where we left off. The Southeast Michigan podcast is free and available wherever you choose to watch or listen, up on YouTube, so you can hit the notification bell there, subscribe there. 5-star review would be so very kind wherever, whatever platform you use. And again, I'm going to remind everyone that we are running a giveaway, an autographed Michigan J.J. McCarthy jersey and an autographed Michigan Blake Corum jersey. And to enter to that is following the show on Twitter and going onto the YouTube channel and picking, doesn't matter which video, and just go ahead in the comment section and type in your Twitter handle name, which is your account name, and boom, you're entered. So if you want a shot at one of those free jerseys, man, get on that. And August 25th is the deadline, and that's when we will find out the two winners. So there you go. Thank you for all the support, reaching into multiple countries. It's quite humbling. It's very much an awesome experience, and thank you guys for taking time out of your busy schedules to listen to what I have to say. um, so no Michigan news really here. Like I said, we are going right back into two more teams in the Big Ten that we're going to take a look at. This episode we have Northwestern and who is it? Northwestern and Washington. We kind of did an update last week on kind of like the Michigan football program itself. Read an article about Connor Stallions. It's sounding like tomorrow, Tuesday, the 30th, is when we will hear the actual notice of allegations and kind of maybe the fate of the program itself. It's looking like Michigan won't be facing any, vacated wins or trophies or anything like that, but possibly postseason bowl ban. So it remains to be seen. Of course, the Ohio State fans are taking off and running with it, so we'll let them have their fun a little bit longer. But it sounds like Michigan, at the end of the day, probably could be getting away with this. And like we mentioned in last week's episode, Connor Stalions is having a Netflix documentary at the end of August, so it's strange times. All right, let's get into what we're here for. Northwestern and Washington. Okay, again, how we rolled this out. We recap their record from last season, off-season, preseason headlines and notes from out of their program, and then we go into their key losses, key additions, and game-by-game breakdown of their schedule. Let's see here. Northwestern 2023, 8-5 overall, 5-4 in the conference. So, like I've beat the dead horse. This was one of the two teams I missed on, and of course last year I don't think anyone expected them to go 8-5, and I believe their over/under win total at that point was, right around the time when the Pat Fitzgerald thing happened, was like 3.5. I said 2. Originally had 3, but with the whole thing that went on with the hazing allegations, I dropped it down with 1, and didn't matter. They went out and busted out 8 victories. So first half of last season though was back and forth out of the win-loss column. They played in a tight, close ball game a couple times, about midway through, and then he eked out a win over FCS Howard, but finished again 8-5 on a 4-game winning streak. They have won 5 bowl games in a row. Haven't had a quarterback throw more than 2,000 yards since 2018 when Clayton Thorson threw for 3,183 yards. They have a brutal schedule, and from mid-October on, this coming up year, David Braun in his first actual full year as a head coach with that offseason there. New offensive coordinator from the FCS with back-to-back natties and several conference championships. We'll get into that. And defense loses some back-end experience. These guys do have 14 returning starters, and they are playing in a temporary field while the new $800 million facility is in construction. The temporary field will be within spitting distance from Lake Michigan, seating for 35,000 people. Now, let me pull up the web browser. So if you guys are watching, I want you to see what what this stadium, this pop-up tent stadium, is going to look like. Let me turn you around here. So you see right there. I'll pull my camera off real quick. You see this? So it's kind of cool looking, but it's so very odd. So this is like a soccer field when they're going to convert it into a football field. And you can see Lake Michigan is like literally right there. You have a football field, a Division I football field in the Big Ten, with a 6-foot patch of grass, a sidewalk that you could fit a golf cart down, another 6-foot patch of grass, and rocks, and then you have Lake Michigan. Absolutely crazy. So if you see this photo right here, this is like the complex, right? And then they are going to be bringing in these bleachers. So this is like a conceptual image. Not even sure what website this is. This looks like brightspot.com. I don't know. You can see that they are going to have like bleachers on the sidelines, very small. Like my high school, my alma mater has got bigger bleachers than this on the sides. The one side, the home side, looks like you might have some press box things going on, and then in each end zone you have uh, some more bleacher seating, and then the looks like that might be the, I don't know which direction this is going to sit, but the way it's looking right now, maybe the east end zone will have more of the luxurious press box. But you could see it's very unique, and they're going to be playing between here and Wrigley Field this upcoming season. So I figured I'd show you that. If you haven't seen it, um, definitely go check that out. All right, now let's get into their key losses. So, offensive lineman Josh Preeb is going to Michigan. Obviously, get into more in depth on that when we preview the Wolverines. Quarterback Brendan Sullivan is going to Iowa. Excuse me. Defensive back Nigel Williams moves on to New Mexico. Defensive back Jaheim Joseph transfers to West Virginia. He had 3 interceptions last year. Defensive back Rod Hurd, who has started 3 of the 5 seasons as a Wildcat, transfers to Notre Dame. And defensive back Garnett Hollis transfers to West Virginia as well. So, needless to say, their defense is going to have a lot of holes to fill, and their depth at corner is going to be a question mark. So even though they have 14 returning starters, that was according to Fox Sports. I see a lot of attrition there. Key additions: linebacker Nigel Glover returns to Evansville. He transferred to Ohio State last year and now has come back for the purple and white. He's a former 4-star linebacker. Quarterback Mike Wright comes in from Mississippi State with 3 years at Vanderbilt previously. Has a lot of game experience, but never quite the week-to-week starter. This could be a sneaky good ad for David Braun's offense that desperately needs a boost. The highest completion percentage was 60% as a freshman on just 10 attempts, so you can't really even count that. So he is like a like back end 50, mid 50s percent, completion. So gonna have to rev that up, sir. Offensive lineman Matt Keeler coming in from Texas Tech. Offensive lineman Jack Bailey comes in from Colorado. Offensive lineman Cooper Lovelace in from USC before was a JUCO, a spot starter for the Trojans. Zach Lewan, I think that's how you pronounce it. Zach Lewan is brought in to be the offensive coordinator from South Dakota State. He has been either the OC or an offensive assistant there since 2017. As mentioned before, has been coaching at South Dakota offense that has won a handful of FCS championships. Excuse me. So David Braun dipping his toes back into the FCS pool and grabbing a coach from there. So you got a championship pedigree coordinator. Let's see if it translates into Big Ten play. Now let me get the camera up and around, and you'll be able to go to game by game schedule with me. Let's see here. All right, as you can see, we first have the Miami of Ohio Redhawks up on deck here. That's going to be a W. I feel pretty confident that Northwestern, can beat Miami of Ohio. That's on a Saturday. I was about to say, is that a Thursday or Friday night game? That is a Saturday day game. They then host Duke. So again, all this is going to be going on at that Lakeside facility. It's called the Lanny and Sharon Martin Lakeside Facility. So Duke at home. I'm going to give Northwestern the L here. Former Penn State defensive coordinator Manny Diaz takes over the Blue Devils as the HC. He gets Malik Murphy, a former four-star quarterback from Texas, to transfer in. Malik Murphy appeared in 7 games for the Longhorns. There is some potential here for the Blue Devil offense, but a lot replacing on defense. I could see this a low-scoring battle with kind of a flip of the coin vibe here. Slight edge because of Manny Diaz. So we have the Wildcats at uno. Then they're at home again for the third in a row here before traveling. They are hosting Eastern Illinois. Let's just give them the dub there. So we're sitting here at 2-1. We then travel to Washington, another team that we're going to be previewing in this episode. They're going to Seattle. Time to be determined. This is going to be a loss. Washington is going to be losing quite a bit. Obviously, most of that was in the NFL draft. And when we get in later in the episode, I'll explain why I still feel like Washington can hold their own in some games, and in this one particularly. Next, they come back for Indiana. And that one will be a W. Indiana's got a lot going on. New head coach, new regime. They've got quite a bit happening, and we'll of course preview that team. I'm having such wet brain right now. I got to figure out if I even did Indiana yet. No, we have not. That will be on the next episode. I can't. It's been so long since we've. It doesn't matter. Continuing on. All right. So loss at Seattle, win at home versus Indiana. Then we go back on the plane to Maryland. This is looks like a 7 p.m. Central Time. So we're gonna have a night game on Fox at College Park. Another road game and another L, okay, but very close. I think this Wildcat team is good enough to at least hang tight with the Terps and potentially pull one of these out, like road games out. But I just, Maryland's going to be replacing Tagovailoa at center or behind center. So I could be completely wrong here. Northwestern might be able to pull off the upset, but I got Maryland winning. Northwestern then comes back home for the Badgers. Loss. Okay, losing that game. They have to go to Kinnick afterwards, so they get kind of a shaft here. This one's going to be a day game at Kinnick. Give me Iowa. I don't even think Northwestern will even cross the 50 on this one. I think I've said that before about one or two other teams that we've covered so far against the Iowa defense. I might even mention it in the Iowa preview, but I don't think Northwestern is going to pan out very well here. This might be, what do I joke about? This might be 2 grand slams and a safety here, and we'll call it that. They go on the road again for Purdue, and this will also be an L. I got Purdue winning this. Northwestern right now in my predictions is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to be, they're on a 4-game bender, and they're on a 4-game bender until they got to go to Wrigley Field. technically going to be the home team, but they're going to be playing Ohio State there. This is going to be a day game. Um, playing Ohio State at the Lakeside Stadium would have been weird enough. But instead, they're going where the green ivy grows. As stated, OSU leads the series 65-14-1, currently on a 10-game winning streak. Northwestern last beat the Buckeyes in 2004. Prior to that, the Wildcats' last one was the year Disneyland opened in Florida. So I know they kept it close in the Big Ten championship with Ohio State for a hot second. 3-4 years ago? I don't know. But it's just not going to matter. Ohio State's going to kill them. And we are on a 5-game losing streak here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yeah. Because we're going to make it 6. Okay. They got to go to the big house this year. And Michigan will be coming off a win versus Indiana and their bye week with time to rest before this one. And so we're going to make it 5. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry. And how about we just make it 7? Okay. They're going to lose to Illinois as well. They travel back to Wrigley Field. So they have 2 Wrigley Field home games. So really, the last time they play at the Lakeside facility will be October 19th versus Wisconsin. Because again, they got to go on the road to Kinnick, on the road to West Lafayette, Ohio State for Wrigley, Big House, Wrigley again. So that's kind of a weird dealt hand for David Braun. I'm going to just read off a copy and paste from when we read Illinois, okay? Outside of 2021 and 2022, Northwestern has had a lock on this head-to-head matchup, winning 7 of the last 10. I think Illinois wins this in probably a boring game, and I called it right now, and I called it then in June when I wrote the notes, 16-13, some type of game like that. So, kind of a flip of the script there. Northwestern had the momentum of the series. I think it goes back to Illinois. So our final record and prediction is going to be 3-9 and 1-8 in the conference. So the only Big Ten team that they're going to win against is Indiana. Excuse me. The rest are losing. And then they're going to pick up the dubs versus Miami, Ohio, and Eastern Illinois. Geez, I couldn't find Indiana for the second one. I'm like, who was the one team that said? Okay. So yeah, 3-9, 1-8. So that means they are going to be underneath or over under. And again, I could be wrong. Dave Braun might have these guys playing lights out, and they might come out. I don't know. They might come out proving everybody wrong once again. I just don't see it, and that's my honest take. So when we come back, we'll hit up the Washington Huskies and see how Jedd Fisch pans out in year 1. Sports betting has rapidly risen in popularity, and I want to connect you all with an opportunity to get started or get ahead. Having multiple sportsbook accounts is the most simple way to maximize your profits, and there has never been a better time to sign up. When you visit my page, signupexpert.com/southeast, you'll be connected to all the sportsbooks in your region, along with a review of each platform and its unique benefits. All of these sportsbooks have valuable sign-up offers for new users, and when you register through my link, you'll automatically receive the top offer at each one. When you use multiple sportsbooks, you ensure that you can always access the best available odds, which is key to successful sports betting. If you want to take advantage of these benefits and support our brand, please consider signing up for your next sportsbook at signupexpert.com/southeast. Okay, we are back for Washington, and it's funny that both the teams that played for the national championship just a few months ago combined are only bringing 7 returning starters, according to Fox College Football. Michigan with 4, Washington with 3. So let's go ahead and look at our Washington Huskies. let's see here. I don't need that up yet. Hold on a second. There we go. All right, so Washington, of course, 2023 went 14-1, right? 10-0 in Pac-12 play. Massive personnel transitioning going on, coaches, players alike. Kalen DeBoer out, Jed Fish in. Steve Belichick comes in as a new defensive coordinator. And again, this is the thing with the Big Ten this year. There's so many like sneaky good ads, potentially like really monumental ones that we don't even blink twice or think about yet because the season isn't really that close. I mean, we're getting close, right? It's July technically still. I mean, we're getting close to August later this week, but like Eric Bieniemy, OC over there at UCLA. Tom Allen goes from Indiana, being head coach to Penn State. Manny Diaz is out. James Franklin kind of shuffling things there. Michigan basically is completely different but the same. And then here we got Steve Belichick coming in. It's just very interesting. Very interesting. Um, the Huskies are getting a nice welcome to the Big Ten schedule with a huge like they're gonna be tested early and often. Um, 2023, Joe Moore winning offensive line. Of course, they kind of took the mantle after Michigan had it for 2 years before, and a handful of Arizona players are following Jed Fish here to Seattle. So we have a lot of key losses. So let's get into it. We have a lot of key additions too, and their schedule is gonna be fun to talk about. So let's do this thing. Key losses: offensive lineman Nate Kalepo transfers to Ole Miss. An offensive lineman, once he entered the portal, I was kind of hoping Michigan was going to go after. Would have been a nice landing spot if Sherman Moore was interested in. Who's to say he was interested? You know what I mean? Nate Kalepo going to the SEC. Offensive lineman Julius Buelo is also going to Ole Miss. Defensive back Jabbar Muhammad transferring to Oregon. And again, this is another player that I'm like, Michigan. Like once Jabbar entered the portal, I'm like, Michigan, get after him, right? Get after him. I'm not sure if I can't remember if Jabbar Muhammad was like a nickel guy or outside corner, but I'm like, feel like you could probably just put him anywhere. And after losing Mikey Sanders still to the Washington Commanders, thought he might be a good addition. Um, excuse me, offensive lineman Jarian Hatchett transfers to Oklahoma. Offensive lineman Troy Fontenot, drafted first round by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Offensive lineman Roger Rosengarten, drafted second round by the Baltimore Ravens. Wide receiver Roma Dunze, drafted first round by the Chicago Bears. Wide receiver Jalen McMillan, drafted third round by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Wide receiver Jalen Polk, drafted second round by the Patriots. And of course, quarterback Michael Penix Jr., drafted eighth overall by the Atlanta Falcons. So the entire offense gone. Defensive starters, couple still there, right? All right, key additions. Defensive end Russell Davis II transfers from Arizona, so that's one of those Wildcat guys. Quarterback Will Rogers transfers from Mississippi State with a lot of production on paper. MSU had a tough time keeping up with the Bama's of the world the past 4 seasons, but Will Rogers went toe to toe with them. He was banged up last year. He was in and out of the lineup, but in 2021 he threw for almost 4,800 yards. Several games he almost reaches 65 to 70 passing attempts. In 2021 alone, he threw it 683 times. Career Will Rogers has 12,315 yards, 94 touchdowns, and 28 interceptions. So, I mean, if Kalen DeBoer was still there, I feel like that offense would just pick up right where Michael Penix left off, right? Just throwing a bunch, air raid style. Linebacker Anthony Ward also comes in from Arizona. Defensive end Isaiah Ward comes in from Arizona, 4 sacks last year. Defensive back Justin Harrington in from Oklahoma, played in 13 games in 2022. And I could probably list 5 or 6 more incoming portal kids, but that's just too many to actually list. Looking at what this team has lost is pretty eye-opening, and at first glance I said there's like no way the Huskies can be any good. However, Jed Fish has some potential here. Outside of Will Rogers, he added numerous linebackers, offensive linemen, and defensive linemen to fill his gaps. And of course, there's no guarantees in success with just bringing in guys. You got to produce on the football field, so we shall see, right? So let's go over and look at the Washington Huskies schedule. So pull up the browser, take the camera off. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. August 31st on Saturday. This is a night game. It's going to be on the Big Ten Network. Um, let's give Washington a win over Weber State, huh? They're going to be at Weber State. All right, then they came. I can't even talk around. I always seem to stumble on the first like 2 games of the second team we preview schedule. I don't know why. It just happens. They host Eastern Michigan after Weber State, right? W, okay. Then they go to Lumen Field where the Seattle Seahawks play. Okay, they are taking on Washington State. I believe this is called the Apple Cup. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the Apple Cup? They play the Cougars at the Seattle Seahawks Stadium. Huskies are on a 2-game winning streak over the Cougars. Let's make it 3, okay? They come home from Northwestern. I'm giving the dub to the Huskies there. They then go on the road to Rutgers. So once again, at first glance on paper, Washington seemingly loses this game, but does Will Rogers make enough impact to win this one for them? I'll give the very slight nod to Jedd Fisch and the Huskies. Okay, very slight. I won't say I'm bullish on Rutgers, but this is probably going to be, on paper, the best Greg Schiano Rutgers team since the Mike Teal and Ray Rice Rutgers, my opinion. They come back home for Michigan. So Michigan's traveling to Seattle here. I believe Michigan is going to win this one. A lot will ride on Michigan's quarterback situation. If it's stable and efficient, if Alex Orji isn't the real deal, this could be a dub for the home team. But I could see Michigan's defense carrying the load in this one. Be a nice test. It'd be a nice test. Michigan's going to be playing USC at about this part of their schedule, so they better be ready for the new ones, the new guys. I take that. Well, they play them on the 21st. Michigan does. They play USC on the 21st. They will have a game in between here and there, but you get the point. Washington then goes to a 2-game road set. First one in Iowa City. Will Rogers had moments where he throws a couple few turnovers in big games. I don't expect him to sling it 60 times a game for Jedd Fisch, and picks are bound to happen at that threshold, but I see the Hawkeyes defense wreaking havoc here. Hawks in a low-scoring affair. Who knew? So, like we discussed in the attrition, the losses, Washington's going to be pretty much trotting out an entire new offensive line this season, and maybe they click right away, but I think it's going to take time, and playing Michigan and Rutgers is going to test that, and playing Iowa is going to test that. Sometimes offensive line, they get better, later in the year, and they really peak probably in the last couple of games of the season. But yeah, I feel like my Big Ten bias here is throwing a little too much shade maybe in the newcomer ring side, but I don't know. I'm gonna ride with the Hawkeyes here. The second part of their trip, they go to Bloomington. That's going to be a W. Washington has some fossil fuel awards points coming up on this part of the schedule, back-to-back road games. But they'll take the dub here in Bloomington. So let me read this before we go any further. Okay, so I've kind of hinted at, my opinion is I think travel time is going to be an issue for these college football teams, not just the Big Ten, but a little bit everywhere. And I'll bring this up too. This was tweeted out by, hopefully I can find it right away. There's a thing that was tweeted out by Josh Pate back around 4th of July weekend, and I saved it in my phone. And I was gonna read it. Like, I was planning on reading this beforehand, but here it is. So this was back on July 7th, right? So Josh Pate, he's talking about California, because California no longer in the Pac-12, right? California, where Deshaun Jackson played, is joining the ACC, right? Again, I'm a traditionalist. There's by no means should be any shot in hell that California should be in the Atlantic Coastal Conference. Cal is going to be traveling for a combined 24,000 miles for their 5 road games this season, the Earth's circumference is 24,900 miles. That's absolutely insane. And I've never even thought to even, look back at where Cal's going. Like, I know the Pac-12 pretty much disintegrated, but like, I didn't even dawn on me until I read that tweet. I'm like, holy cow, yeah, Cal is going to be in the ACC. Anyways, I just some food for thought there. There is there's some stats that favor my take where air miles traveling affects West Coast teams going to East. And then there's some stats, it's like almost like a trend. There's another trend that happened in the late 2010s where it started to kind of level itself out to where it really didn't matter, but before that it did matter. I don't even know where it's at right now, but I'm going to ride and die on that train, and I'm going to say that the traveling is going to play a huge role, especially in college kids' lives where they have to balance school and college football and playing in an extraordinary long season that they're not used to yet. And depth is everything this year. Depth is everything. So enough of my ranting. Where are we? Okay, we're after Bloomington. So now we are back home for the USC Trojans. Um, I gave the Trojans the nod here in that preview. I'll stand firm with it. Only thing is I'll add that whoever has a quarterback room humming at the moment, I think will take this game. USC new quarterback. Washington knew everything. Okay, and USC is trying to develop their defense. So we'll see if Lincoln Riley's got it. If you watch the Big Ten Media Days, Lincoln Riley sounds kind of like a wussified dork and seems to be trying to spit out enough whataboutisms to make a gag. I don't know. Um, I mean, maybe not. It just seems a little bit whiny. Um, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Lincoln Riley. I guess we'll just have to check back in here when this game takes place. They Washington then travels. So okay, this is a rough part of the schedule. Okay, so they just got done with Michigan, Iowa, Rutgers, Indiana's sprinkled in there. Now they go on the road to Penn State. White out or not, the Lions are going to take care of this one. I don't think. Give me 1 second here. I just did my Penn State notes. We're not previewing Penn State here, but let's see for this USC game. I don't think this one is gonna have like a particular like theme to it. Whether it's the helmet stripe, it's not the whiteout game. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Let me scroll back up and find my place before I go absurd or go insane. All right. All right. So we are flying from Indiana to California to Pennsylvania, back to California for UCLA. And this one is a Friday night game on Fox. And I'm giving the win over UCLA here. UCLA to me still has a lot to figure out. And speaking of Big Ten media, if you watch it, Deshaun Foster kind of had a Joe Biden thing going on. I'm not trying to get political here, but Deshaun Foster I think he just got nervous. He was up at the podium, kind of trailed off, mentioned where UCLA is located. It was kind of embarrassing. I felt bad for him. And I didn't even watch the whole thing because I was just like, all right, this is cringe. I got to turn it off. But UCLA has led the Pac-12 the last 2 years in rushing, so they got that going for them. The final game of the year for Washington here is a road contest at Eugene, at Oregon. Um, this is going to be, sadly, an L for the Huskies. The Ducks are going to be a fun one to cover. I haven't even written the notes up on that, but I will be doing it soon. Many predict Oregon to compete for the Natty, at least be the runner-up. Huskies are on a 3-game dub streak, but will end in 2024 or to end 2024. So Why did I write the Huskies are on a 3-game dub streak? They're not. So forget what the hell I said. They are on a 1-game win streak. I don't even know what the hell I said. Um, but yeah, final prediction for Washington. Yeah, I can't apparently can't math. Final prediction for the Washington Huskies: 7-5, 4-5 in Big Ten play. So the Big Ten teams, the traditional Big Ten teams that I think that they're going to beat, is going to be Northwestern, Rutgers, very iffy on that, Indiana, and that's it. UCLA will be the fourth. So 7-5, 4-5 in the conference, and that is your Washington Huskies. So there we go. 2 more teams knocked out. I plan on doing another episode this week to catch up for it. Again, just trying to knock out another one last week, but just could not do it. We did 2 though. We did 2. Okay, I'm very proud of that. Kind of had a busy weekend. My wife and I went over to Freedom Hill Music Theater, or it's like I don't know. There's another name for it too, but saw one of my favorite bands, or my wife and I's favorite bands, 311, jammed out, and kind of used Sunday as a recuperating day because I just don't bounce back like I used to, and kind of spent, I think, a couple hours dibble dabbling in more NCAA 25, which is taking up way too much of my life. Either way, we are approaching August, ladies and gentlemen. Fantasy football advice podcast is in the air, right? It's that time of season. But anyways, thank you for watching or listening. And again, all the links for the giveaway contest will be down below. So again, you got till August 25th to follow the show Twitter, the show Twitter account, and then go on to the YouTube channel and type in your Twitter handle, and then you're entered. And so you'll have a shot at winning either a JJ McCarthy Michigan jersey or a Blake Corum Michigan jersey, both signed, both with Beckett COAs. So, anyways, I'll catch you guys on the Flippity Flip. The next episode, we got 2 traditional Big Ten teams on the slate. Peace.